What's going on, guys? Lane Rogers here, Tesla Techs. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about several different things. It's been a while since I've made one of these like Cybertruck Talk videos, so we're going to do a Cybertruck Talk video today. And so basically in the last few weeks there's been a lot that's happened. A lot that's happened as far as, you know, there was another Starship flight. There was a flight 13 of Starship down there in Giga, Texas, and the flight went great except for just a couple little caveats. And then on top of that, you have FSD version 14.3.6 that's been rolling out, and I was lucky enough to get that version pretty early, so I lucked out there. But I happened to be out in New York City. I was traveling to New York City to a conference when that rolled out, so I didn't get a chance to use it until I actually got back, but I was able to download it and everything, you know, from my hotel room there, so that was kind of cool. And then also, guys, it's been insane lately as far as what's been going on with Robotaxi and Cybercab. It's been growing a lot now, you know, across the United States. There's been sightings everywhere of the Cybercabs and the Robotaxis, and so there's been a lot of growth there as well. And so super exciting stuff going on. And then on top of all that, you know, with there's also the version FSD version 14 Lite that's come out now to all the 4 million to 4.3 million hardware 3 owners, and that started to roll out. You know, it started rolling out June 29th, but it was only just a few select people at first, and then it started rolling out to a lot more people. I think it was on the 21st of July, and so it was about 3 weeks where there wasn't really much movement there. They were just kind of seeing how that new software kind of works with you know, all the early access type people, and then, you know, they've since then have started to expand it out, and it's been coming out slowly, you know, ever since. I've seen some great reviews and I've seen some not so great reviews on it, but you know, it is early for that software. It's a brand new software just for the hardware 3 vehicles, and so I know they have a lot of things to kind of iron out and get just right before they, you know, send it out to the masses. So it's good to see the progress there too. And so yeah, so let's just kind of start with the FSD 14.3.6 that I now have on the Cybertruck and I'm using right now. It's you know, honestly, there's not a huge difference between this version and the version that it replaced, 14.3.5. You know, it's great. It's worked perfectly fine in, you know, every situation. I have noticed that it's maybe a tad more hesitant every now and then when, you know, it's going to get ready to pull out into a street, or if it's going through a big intersection or something like that. It gets a little bit more hesitant and kind of just waits more and is more cautious. And for some people, they probably think that's an improvement. For some people, they may not like it quite as much. I'm kind of torn on that, you know what I mean? In certain situations, I like that it's more hesitant, but then in other situations, I'm like, oh, let's go. You know, I kind of sometimes even want to just tap the gas, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I tap it and then it just goes. But a little bit of hesitation there. And then I've noticed that I've actually noticed some different visuals on my navigation system in the Cybertruck. I don't know if that's across the board, but you know, if I'm at an intersection or something, it'll give me this really zoomed out view that's even more so than it used to be, and it's pretty cool because you can just see more of what's going on around you. And then as soon as you get going, it'll come back down to the kind of the bird's eye view that I've been used to. And so very interesting stuff there. And I would say that it's much more, it seems more polished. It just seems more polished, more human-like. It's, you know, with every iteration, it gets more and more human-like, which is great. More polished. It's just really smooth. It kind of glides, you know, like I've talked about before. But it definitely feels like the car is thinking through things, and it's very aware of what's going on. It's situationally aware. You know, it doesn't really take off too fast. You know, you have when you get to a traffic light and it turns green, it's much more of a linear takeoff than in just this abrupt, you know, speed up. It's smooth, and braking is the same way. You don't really have that, you know, massive, you know, braking and slowing down very abrupt braking. And so it's linear braking. Everything is just very smooth and almost like a chauffeur. I've kind of mentioned that before. And so I'm pleased to see that it's, you know, making that progress. You know, everything except for just that slight hesitation every now and then. And you know, that seems to be the only major issue. The only, you know, other than, you know, just sometimes it doesn't select the right parking spot that my preferred parking spot, which, you know, obviously that's coming in the very near future. But yeah, it's definitely a worthwhile and great upgrade over 14.3.5. There's some noticeable differences, but for the most part, it's, you know, it's very similar. Now I am super excited that we're getting further into the 14 Lite and the rollout, at least. And, you know, although they haven't, as far as I've seen, let me guys know in the comments if you've seen anything. I haven't seen anybody with the Model S or the Model X get, you know, the Hardware 3 Model S and Model X get the version 14 Lite, as far as what I've seen. Now, you know, I think maybe they did some internal testing with it. I'm sure they have it. I'm sure it's going to roll out at some point soon. But, you know, so far I just haven't seen it. And so maybe they're saving the best for last. You know, they're gonna get it all trained on the Model Ys and Model 3s and give me a polished version of version 14 Lite. And so, but yeah, it's just gonna be fantastic, guys. You know, for all us Hardware 3 people that have had a Tesla for a few years and just have been stuck on that 12.6.4, this is gonna be a huge upgrade. Especially for us that also have, you know, a Hardware 4 car, so we know what Tesla's capable of. We know what, you know, they've been able to build, and just to be able to have that now in our Hardware 3 vehicles is going to be a fantastic thing and a game changer altogether. And, you know, there's been even more talk now about, you know, more personalization in the systems. And so, you know, in my 2022 Model X, which is, you know, the newer processor and everything, it's going to be great just because you're going to have, it's Hardware 3, but you're also, you know, you're going to have that ability to have just the UI and everything with the Model S and the Model X, especially the refreshed versions. It's going to be fantastic, I think. And I think it's going to be a lot more similar to what I'm used to here in the Cybertruck. So super excited for that to come. Whenever it comes, maybe it's a story maybe it's more of an August story for the Model S and Model X people, but we'll see. It's coming. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, the summer edition, what's it called? The summer update is rolling out, and there really are some really cool features of that. When it comes to, the car is going to be able to remember your preferred navigation routes. And so if there's a particular way you like to go to work, the car is going to start to remember how your specific little route that you like to go, and start doing that when it's on full self-driving. And then on top of that, you know, you're going to have it start to remember your preferred parking spot at work, or say you have like an employee parking spot that you have to park in. It's going to remember that. You'll be able to set it that way, or it can start to learn that way based on you going to that, you know, on a regular basis over time. And so, you know, once it gets that final stage, that parking scenario mastered, and, you know, parking where you want to park at the grocery store, parking where you want to park when, you know, you go pick up your kids from school, and maybe in the pickup lane it just pulls over. Those kinds of personal things, it's going to feel such like a custom experience when you get into your full self-driving FSD Tesla. And so that's going to be an amazing experience for people, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of car sales, because people really want that custom feel, and Tesla is the only one that's going to be able to provide that. So that's going to be amazing, guys. And then also in that update, the new Grok features the ability for the car, you know, for you to use natural natural language and just talk to your vehicle and say, hey, can you turn the air conditioner to 73 degrees? Or I think you'll be able to even say, hey, can you turn the rear air up to 78 degrees? Things like that. And then, hey, can you put the radio on, this channel or that channel or XM radio or whatever? You'll be able to just use your natural voice and be able to do that without having to look down at your screen and poke around and try to find it, which can be a huge distraction when you're driving. And even on FSD, it's just something else that you have to worry about looking through, and it takes your attention off of anything else. So it's whether it's driving or just takes your attention off whatever you're doing in the vehicle if you're on FSD. And so that's going to be a huge upgrade. And I think it does some other things too. I think you can open your glove box. I think you can operate a few other little things within the UI, within the system, the infotainment system. And so Grok's going to have the ability to go in there and make changes for you and set things. I saw on an X post someone was showing where they were able to just use the natural voice with Grok to be able to set the steering weight from to make it a more sportier drive whenever they would drive, and then they set it back to the regular one, and just showing off what you can actually do. And then I think on that one he was like, navigate me to work, and then set the air conditioner to this, and then set the radio to this, and then set my steering weights. And so if all that is actually gonna start rolling out, that's gonna change the whole user experience in Tesla in general. And it's going to be cool too in my Model X, because it is the refreshed version, so it does have the AMD Ryzen infotainment processor or whatever. So it's I think I'll get the full Grok abilities there. I know some of the old Intel processors may have a limited amount of what they get as far as the summer updates, because they have previously, like in the spring update or the winter update or whatever. They have, it's limited in what they can receive, just because it's not the newer processors. But should be great there either way, guys. I mean, you're getting updates in older cars, whether you're Intel or Ryzen. But yeah, those are the two biggest things. And like I said, I think you can open the glove box now with voice commands, and there's also a new traction control function where it has the ability to different traction control settings. So you have, I think one they added is the ability to get out of snow, it's like stuck mode or something. So you can get out of wherever you're stuck, in snow or sand or whatever. It's got a mode for that. So that's kind of a cool addition as well. And then there's also, there's always tons of little stuff on the list of what they're going to be offering. And but yeah, another thing to look forward to is that summer update. So it should be rolling out. Something to look forward to, and just keep your eye on your Tesla apps, and make sure you update your vehicles. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with all the cool stuff. And I think they have a karaoke option. That's going to be cool for my 5.5-year-old Riley. She likes to sing and do all that kind of stuff. So the new karaoke upgrade, I forget exactly what it does. I think it kind of gamifies it to where you get scored on how your performance was or something. So Tesla's always doing stuff like that to kind of gamify things and make it more fun for the family, and more fun for the kids for sure. And so that's really cool. But yeah, kind of moving on to the next topic, which is the Robotaxi and Cybercabs. Man, we are starting to see the actual Cybercab everywhere. I know there's been sightings everywhere. There were some in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's been some seen down in Tampa. There's been, several places in Florida I saw. I know Vegas people have started to see them out in that direction. San Diego. Just really honestly all across the nation, people are seeing them. And as a matter of fact, in San Antonio the other day, we were notified by a friend of ours that there were some Cybercabs in San Antonio over by the airport. And so we went over and checked them out as soon as we could, just to make sure they weren't shipped off site, or just so we could actually see them in person in San Antonio. Now, we had previously seen them, on our trips up in Austin, because, downtown Austin, you're starting to see them, being tested, not necessarily driving autonomously on their own yet, except for just a couple, I think. But people are just driving them around to accumulate miles so they can kind of calibrate them and get them all ready to go into the fleet. But so we've seen them out there. We've seen them at Giga Texas, and we've been by there, after they were manufactured. But we have not seen any in San Antonio. And so Austin's about a mile up the road from San Antonio. If you know this area at all, it's about just a quick drive up the road, and you're in Austin. We're at Giga Texas, and a lot of the Tesla headquarters, and then Bastrop. You've got all that area up there with Starlink and all that, where they make the Starlink terminals. So we always go up there for Tesla events, and just for business. A lot of times we're up there, whether it's our real estate company or the swimming pool business as well. We're up there a good bit, just doing things, doing conferences, taking care of clients, things like that, visiting pool sites. But anyway, seeing them in San Antonio was something. It was an eye-opening experience, just because I've never seen one like right up close, and I've never kind of stood next to one or looked at it in a more detailed way. And I got to tell you, that unboxed approach to how they manufacture is incredible. And because those cars are not painted in the traditional way, it's injected into the molds as they make the panels. And so, every car is the same color basically. And so it's that gold, cab color. But it's really beautiful in the sunlight, and it just grabs your attention, and it really is, it's just really kind of interesting how it really shows you a vision of what the future is going to be like, guys. Like if you're looking at that thing and you're like, wow, this thing just doesn't have mirrors, it's not going to have steering wheel, it's going to be totally autonomous, and you just kind of think about, okay, in the very near future, and hopefully they launch in San Antonio as one of their first cities. It's kind of looking that way. But in the very near future, I'll be able to pull my phone out, go to an app just like Uber, order my vehicle. I'm going to be able to set the temperature of how I like it inside, adjust the seats the way I want it, put on whatever I want on the screen, which is going to be, obviously streamed in through Starlink, which is built into the Cybercab. And so I have whatever entertainment options I want ready for me, ready to go. The temperature is going to be the way I want it. I don't have some strange cab driver or strange Uber driver in there. It's just going to be me, and whoever else I'm with. And we're going to have this nice, comfortable, relaxing ride to wherever the destination is. The vehicle pulls up at your house, the doors flip up, you get in, the doors shut automatically, and you're on your way. And it's all adjusted to your preferences ahead of time. I mean, guys, it really, if you just think about the actual, process of how it will actually all work, you go, wow, we're really living in the future. This is an interesting time to be alive, and an incredible time to be alive, I must say. But yeah, it just, you kind of feel starstruck almost, like when you see one of these things, just because you know what Tesla's put into it, and you know how much technology is behind it. And then like what the future is. It's kind of a glimpse of what the future is going to be like. So, it's almost like you don't need a car anymore. If this is going to be something that could be at a very low cost, or even maybe a monthly membership kind of basis, you know what I mean? It's where it's like, it's going to probably end up being way cheaper than owning a vehicle and paying for your own insurance and maintenance and all the things. So for, I think, a lot of people, not everybody, of course. I don't think I'd really truly ever want to give up my big Cybertruck and just having that ability, because I'm in real estate. I'm all over the place, and with the pool company, I'm hauling stuff around a lot sometimes. And so, I don't know if I'll give that up, but for a lot of people, especially in densely populated urban areas, gosh, this is going to make sense. It's going to make so much sense. And so, yeah, it's just going to be nice. It's going to change the world of transportation for sure, and it will get rid of a lot of congestion globally, you know what I mean, as this thing rolls out across the United States and then into other countries. So really excited about that, as you can tell. But I did do a quick video on that one, so be sure and check out the video. And then the actual Robotaxi, the little Model Ys that are everywhere, they're expanding like crazy too. I saw, before I went to New York, they had just expanded into Miami, and by the time I was getting home, they were already in Tampa and Orlando. And so I'm like, wow, they've already expanded across Florida. So, and I think Florida is going to be a great market for them just because there's lots of tourists. Obviously, Orlando is a huge tourist hub with Disney and all the things, and Universal, all those parks. So that's going to be phenomenal as they can scale and go there. But, just all across Florida is going to be great. And the climate there, the climate as far as, full self-driving and the way it's perceived, and just their ability, the regulatory ability to expand fast there, it's similar to Texas, I believe. And so I think it's going to be a phenomenal state for them to really accumulate some miles and another proving ground for this as they expand more and more. Now, up in Austin, I saw this morning that there was, I believe it was something like 59 unsupervised, no person in the car, Model Y Robotaxis operating now. So that's crazy, guys. That's like 80% of the fleet or something in Austin is unsupervised. And so it's great to see that they've gotten to those numbers already. And then Houston continues to grow. A lot of what I see on X posts is I see a lot of the drones and stuff like that of the Houston lot where they're holding all their Robotaxis and Cybercabs, and there is a ton of them. So it just seems like they're adding more and more units to the fleet, more of the Model Y Robotaxis, and really getting a good launch there. And Dallas is continuing to move along as well. So Texas, the whole Texas market is just really moving. So honestly, we're so close to Austin, and San Antonio is a pretty darn large city, so it just makes sense for it to come here. In San Antonio, we have a lot of tourism, so it's one of our top things. People come here for the river walk downtown. It's beautiful. You can walk the river, all those kind of things. We have lots of hotels. We have theme parks. We have SeaWorld. We have Six Flags Fiesta Texas. We have all this stuff you can do in San Antonio. Some great water parks close to here, Schlitterbahn. And so you have tons and tons and tons of tourists that come here. So, if the Cybercab and Robotaxi can launch here, I think it would be just absolutely phenomenal for Tesla, just because it's also in Texas, and we have that, that they're very open to the expansion of the Robotaxi network. And so it just makes sense. And so I'm excited to see it come here. I know there's talks right now about a hub basically for the Robotaxis and Cybercabs to exclusively go to where they can charge, they can get cleaned, and get ready to get back on the stage and get back on the road. So hopefully that's coming somewhere around the Pearl area of San Antonio, if you know where that is, which is pretty close to where you can get to the airport and downtown. It's kind of in between the airport and downtown, so it's a perfect spot for them to get in and get out and get back to doing rides. So it's a great spot. And then they're also looking for another hub, sort of holding lot basically, or place where they can keep these somewhere close to the San Antonio airport. So excited to see what location they eventually pick there, and just I'm super excited and waiting for the day that Tesla just pulls the trigger and gets things started here. So it's moving along, guys. I know the next ones on deck I think are Phoenix and then Vegas, and so yeah, another huge tourist destination there with Vegas, and then Phoenix. It's it's a huge city as well. So just another great place for Robotaxi and Cybercab to operate. The last thing I want to talk about is Starship Launch 13. Ship just went up just a few days ago. I think it was last Friday or something like that it went up. So the ship just went up a few days ago, and from everything that I've read and seen online so far, and comments by Elon and SpaceX, everything went pretty to plan. It's kind of a perfect launch scenario. I know the booster, when it came back in, there was it didn't have the boost back burn they wanted. It stopped early, and so the booster had a hard splashdown in the Gulf of in the Gulf, and because of that was kind of like the thing they were kind of trying to get just right so they could catch a booster on the next flight. And so because there was that slight lack in the amount of burn it did, they're going to have to work on things a little bit more, I think, before they can feel comfortable and have what they need in order to certify that and be able to say, hey, this booster can come back in and launch at the launch pad. Just because if let's face it, if it did what it did last time, it could be a major disaster. It could really explode and destroy the launch area and all the launch infrastructure, which would kind of be catastrophic as far as, time frames, because it would destroy a lot of that, it would destroy a lot of the infrastructure there on the ground as well as the booster, and it would take a long time to rebuild. And let's face it, SpaceX has to get things done because they have a lot of stuff they had to be doing with NASA in the Artemis mission, in less than a year now. So they're up against the clock, and there's pressure on them. Jared Isaacman is on them to get these things done, but to also be very safe and to make sure that they are moving with caution, because an explosion now could really set them back significantly in their time frames. And if that happens, we may not get the Artemis mission next year. It may be pushed to 28 or something like that. So let's really try and see if over the next few months we can have as few errors, a few accidents as possible, because the Artemis mission is counting on SpaceX to deliver Starship and for it to be ready for the mission next year. But other than that one little incident with the booster, the actual Starship, they had great stage separation. There was some pretty amazing pictures of all that as it took place. And the views from Starlink were just absolutely phenomenal and crystal clear. And we really got to see a lot more of Starship this time, I feel like. And, all the things went to plan. They had the engine relight in space. So yeah, pretty much everything went to plan, and they were able to unload the 20 V3 version 3 Starlink satellites into space this time for the very first time. Last time on the last trip they used the dummy satellites with cameras on them, and then we got some really cool images from that, but they weren't real satellites. And so for the very first time they were actually able to put those out, using the PEZ dispenser one by one, and to be able to test the laser hookups and the hookups to the actual Starlink network. And then those, I think it was only just a few minutes, and those satellites actually burned up, I believe, coming back into, as they came back into the atmosphere. So, but that's a huge plus, guys. Everything worked right with the PEZ dispenser, and they were actually able to get the satellites connected to the Starlink network and use the laser connections that they have. So that's excellent, guys. That's a huge milestone in itself. And then Starship, it went on to complete all its scheduled tests and everything else, and then had splashdown in the Indian Ocean. I know they did some different things, some different sets, some different parameter sets when they came back into re-entry. I think they had a much steeper re-entry than usual, just to kind of test a lot of the systems, and to see how the heat tiles performed under a higher level of stress. And so I know they launched a lot faster, and I know that they did some different things as they came back in before splashing down in the Indian Ocean. And probably one of the coolest parts of the entire Flight 13 was the splashdown, because that thing came in and it came right down, and when it hit the water and it fell over in previous flights, pretty much all previous flights that actually made it that far that we saw, there was a big explosion at the end when Starship just explodes. And this one just kind of came in and it just fell right over, and then it's become a ship out in the ocean now. It's an ocean liner now. It's not just a Starship. It's a ocean going ship. So it's still floating out there in the Indian Ocean, and the SpaceX team obviously has been tracking it and close to it and been able to get tons of footage, video, pictures, all the things they need to see how that heat shield performed. And then as far as everything I've seen, it's still streaming data, all these days later. I'm not sure if it is quite like today, but I know like the last couple of days it was still streaming data. So yeah, I guess their battery packs have a lot of capacity in them because, you know, it was streaming data back for a long time. So yeah, it's great to see that the Starship endured and it got to where it needed to go, and there was no major mishaps. You know, the FAA recently said that they don't have to do a mishap report, which is huge. That means we can get on to Flight 14 ASAP. But you know, it's going to be really cool. I know Elon said this morning that they're gonna recover the full Starship and have it probably towed back or put on a boat and, you know, brought back to Starbase. And you know, there's talk and speculation that maybe they could put it in the rocket garden, just because it's a piece of history now, the lucky number 13, because it pretty much performed exactly how everybody wanted it to, and we got so much data to, you know, make future flights even that much better. And so, speaking of future flights, Flight 14 is probably going to be sometime in the next month. I would imagine they're going to try to get it done in August, if not, obviously, early September. And so once that happens, you know, that once they get closer, we're actually thinking about going down. And so I got to figure out exactly when it's going to be. That way you can kind of book your hotels, just because when you get down there and be there for the actual launch. You know, sometimes we've gone down in the past and they've postponed the launch, you know, like one day after we got there. So it's like you end up being down there forever just waiting on the launch. But you know, obviously it's a heck of an experience to go check out one of those launches. But anyway, on launch 14, Elon said that if all the data comes back and there's no major problems from launch 13, you know, no major hiccups that happened that we don't know about, as long as all the information they get back at SpaceX and after they analyze it is okay, that on Flight 14 they're going to go ahead and try to catch the ship, not the booster, but the ship, because it performed so well. It didn't have any problems coming back down. It performed very well coming down and re-entering and splashing down. So if it can do that and the engines work correctly that way, they feel they can clear it and certify it and know that it's going to come down appropriately and do what it needs to do when it comes in and it's being caught right there at the launch pad. Because let's face it, guys, this has never been done before with a Starship. You know, we've done it several times with the booster, but never with a Starship. So it's a whole different thing, because that thing's coming in at a much higher velocity, you know, and it goes way faster when it's out there in space. And so when it's coming in, there's a lot more that can go wrong. Versus a booster that's just gone right up and come right back down. So that's going to be an interesting to watch, and I don't know how they're going to work all of it out. I don't know if Starship will launch and then, you know, orbit the Earth for a couple of days, get everything right, and then come back in. You know, that might be a scenario we could see. But either way, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be super fun to watch. Hopefully we can get down there and watch it. That'd be absolutely fantastic. We have to look at our schedule, see if it all works out with my daughter's school and, you know, everything else that we're doing with business. But yeah, that would be one to get down and see. If you can get down and see it, I highly recommend it. But anyway, that's about it for today, guys. Let me think if I can think of anything else. Oh yeah, I've got my Cybertruck shirt on. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I got this off the merch store on the Tesla app, Tesla site. And so it's a little bit big, honestly. I got the smallest one and it's still a little bit big, so I guess they run big, but I still like it anyway. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's it, guys. So if you like this kind of content, you like tech and Tesla news, don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along and stay up to date on all the tech and Tesla news that's going on. Like and comment and let us know how things are going in your neck of the woods with full self-driving, or if you're following Robotaxi and Cybercab. Have you seen any Cybercabs where you live, out and about, you know, calibrating or testing? Let us know. We'd love to hear what you have to say about that. And then obviously Starship, you know, it's an amazing thing. We're in South Texas, so we go down there as much as possible, down the South Padre, and then, you know, watch it over there at Boca Chica, or Starbase now. So let us know, and you know, thanks for riding along with us. And again, I'm Lane Rogers, and we'll see you on the next video. And if you're interested in Tesla products, don't forget to check out my link below. There you can find all the current incentives and there's all sorts of ability to search and find exactly what you're looking for or research. And hopefully this video helped you out, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.